2022. We started the year off in Florida. Started in West Florida, made our way to mid-Florida, and rode a bunch of fun trails. If you haven't been to Florida, I highly recommend it. There's something for everyone, especially here at Tom Brown Park. Pump tracks, jump tracks, XC tracks, you name it. There's also other things to do if you bring your radio-controlled cars, if you bring a basketball, if you bring a volleyball, a baseball bat, whatever. They've got everything. Also be sure to make your way to Ocala and hit Santos. Santos has a lot to offer for the family as well. They have amazing jump lines that you can progress on, which is perfect for learning how to jump. You start off on easy jumps, make your way to harder jumps. And in this whole adventure, I brought my heavy bike so that I could get some training in on a heavier bike, so that when I went to my XC bike, I was able to crush it even more. As you can see, the whole family is having a lot of fun. We head further south to Alafaya and Carter Road. As you can see, shorts and a t-shirt, so great in the winter. It's great when you see the little ones getting over obstacles that used to be tough for them. This is just an epic little fun feature here at Alafaya. Then when you get home, you're into the snow and you're having fun with the buds that are sending it, crashing, funny stuff going on. But this led into the polar roll, which the polar roll, I think this was my third year doing it. And I had a pretty good showing and was able to get 4th place overall. These were fast downhills. It was absolutely crazy. In that first clip, that was Jordan Wakely in front of me. It was him, another guy, I think it was Sean and I, and we were off. We were off on the group. This is a set of stairs, and right beyond this, you could go get hugs and whiskey and bacon, I think. There I am finishing. Happy to finish 4th. After that, we spent some time on Mackinac Island, and we actually crossed the ice bridge from the UP to Mackinac Island. There's Arch Rock right there. So cool. But crossing this section of the lake was crazy in my mind. I never thought that I'd ride across from the UP to the island on ice. Then it was to gravel race season, which was completely, in my mind, terrible. I was training for the Whiskey 50 off-road and putting in a lot of training efforts and doing these races on top of it. I still was able to perform decent, not where I would like to, but decently performed in the gravel race season. As you can see, almost every race I did was muddy and cold, just over freezing, which was leading up to the Whiskey 50 in Arizona with warm, dry temperatures. So here we've got wet, very cold temperatures, just above freezing. So there definitely wasn't any heat acclimation. You still got to work out. You got to lift heavy weights.
Pull-ups are epic.
Got to stay strong for the big race. Then I had my best race I think I've ever had. Mark Walters and I ripped up a trail together. Never been able to hang with Mark Walters. Him and I finished almost at the same time. He just got me at the end. And then right after that race, I started making my way out to Prescott, Arizona. And here I stopped in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then before I knew it, it was the crit day of the Prescott 50. And right away, we had a crash in front of us. That's Mackie Franklin there. Slams on his brakes. I had to slam on mine so I didn't clip his bars. And that kind of ended the crit for us. The next day, as you saw the start there, we're off bright and early in the morning. And in hindsight, you can't go race in a hot, dry climate without heat acclimating. And I was pukey the whole time. So, lesson learned. If I go race into a warm climate, I have to have some kind of heat acclimation before I think I'm just going to go rip. And I got ripped. I made my way to Sedona, Arizona after that, which is beautiful. I also hit up a trail in New Mexico, and then I hit up a trail in Kansas. And then I thought I was going to race Mud, Sweat, and Beers. I had signed up for it, and that just didn't go so swell, especially with the butt kicker the week before. And then I went to the Fort Custer race and just did that for fun with the buds. And then after that, we headed to the Lumberjack. And the Lumberjack was quite an experience. We were with our buddy Jason, who has pancreatic cancer, and we decided to team up on the tandem there and get him first in the tandem, which we were able to do, and that was epic. After that, as a family, we headed to the UP, and I've never been to the UP. And boy, it did not disappoint. So many trails everywhere in Munising and Marquette, south of Munising. I mean, Marquette, you could ride for, I did ride for a week and never hit, I mean, we hit the same trail twice, but you never really hit the same trail twice. I really can't wait to get back up there. It's so much fun. So many trails, and really there's trails for days. I mean, you got Marquette, you've got Harlow Lake, you've got North and South Marquette, you've got Ishpeming trails. It's an epic time. I highly recommend going up to Marquette and hitting Marquette. Did I mention getting to Marquette? I mean, it's so much fun. This is still Marquette. It's just a riot. You have to get up there. Look at this steep funness. Look at the views. Oh yeah. This surprised me, this rock roll. If I would have known that was there, I probably wouldn't have went down it. It was kind of sketchy. These are the Ishpeming trails. They call it the Epic Loop, and we did the Epic Loop. And actually my buddy's bike broke. His Specialized bike broke during this ride, and I had to push him, and then it was kind of crazy. We were going slightly downhill from Ishpeming to Marquette almost the whole way, and he was able to hang right in my draft without pedaling most of the time. It was really awesome.
Oh, watch your head too.
As you can see, this is still Ishpeming, and this is a fun little skills area with a nice drop, little 3 different size drops. This is Zoog's Trail, which is a really fun trail. If you're there, it's definitely worth the climb. I highly recommend ripping down the Zoog's Trail. It's a long, fun downhill. While in Marquette, I also spent time riding with the wife. So I would go out and I would ride with my buddy or him and another guy, and then when I would get back, I would go back out and ride with the wife and spend some more time on the bike. Riding with the wife is always a blast. We ended up leaving and making our way to Valley Spur, where I spurred my shoulder, separated my shoulder here on this crash, and that kind of sucked. The next day I still rode, and we made our way to Bruno's Run, which is a beautiful trail, as you could see there by the pictures, and finally made our way home. So shortly after Marquette, I got my drone and was able to test that out a few times before I decided to make some of the how I ride videos. And I just wanted to make something a little more cinematic, a little more creative from my point of view. And you can see here, this is where I started my new video series, how I ride each trail, and trying out the drone footage and getting better with the drone. This is Mosquito Creek. It's got some fun sections, which I highlight here in the video. After this first version, I spent some time with a buddy Brent on a weekend. We rode some fun trails on the east side of Michigan, Brighton, and that area. And then over my wife and I's anniversary weekend, we went to West Virginia to watch the World Cup. And on our way, we stopped and rode some trails. And on the way home, we stopped and hit some trails. So we got to ride some trails in Ohio on the way down. And then we got to ride some trails in West Virginia on the way back. Here's another How I Ride video testing out the drone at Owassapee. This is probably one of my favorite trails to train on and ride. It's one of the first trails I was introduced to on the bike. It's a tough trail. It's old school single track. It's definitely the reason I am who I am on the bike. I owe it all pretty much to this trail system. Not only is Owassapee a great place to train, there's so much beauty out there in the woods. It's like nothing else we have around us here in this part of Michigan. It feels like I'm somewhere else, like in Narnia or something. It's just crazy, the beauty here that we have. After I did the How I Ride Owassapee, I moved on to How I Ride the Dragon. And the Dragon is my favorite trail in the Lower Peninsula. It just has so many things to offer. You can XC for, you can go all the way around now. You don't hit all single track yet, but it's almost complete, and that's about 42 miles. You can hit jumps. As you can see, there are plenty of areas to session jumps on this trail. So you can ride any bike you want. You can do an XC bike, you can ride a trail bike, you can ride a fat bike. You could probably even ride an enduro bike because some of the jumps are big enough that an enduro bike will just make it a little more comfortable. Again, here you've got a lot of beauty. You're riding right along water almost the whole time. So on one side of you, you're always gonna have the beautiful view of the water. There's boating. There's little inlets like this from the main part of the dam, the pond. They call it a pond. It's a huge dammed river. Just so much fun, so many jumps, big bridges like this, streams. It's just a beautiful trail system. And if you're ever coming to Michigan, you have to put the Dragon on your list. 2020 had its ups, like doing probably my best XC race ever and riding some epic trails around the state and in other states. And it had its downs with the worst race that I've ever had and the shoulder separation that's kept me out for most of the rest of 2022 for racing. Hope to be back to racing in 2023. Definitely going to still be riding the bike. I think I'm going to tone the racing intensity back, not train as hard for racing, and just focus on having more fun on the bike and not worrying about results. So here's to your 2023. Hope everyone has a great year. Peace.